So how did you find out about the scholarship?
Okay, so I was freelancing with somebody, and the person is from Malta actually. He had me on a job which I was doing in corporate sustainability. So I was there, and he just said, "Hey, Faisal, would you be interested in this?" So he just shared the link to me, and I looked at it. As you said, why a second master's? So I looked at it twice. Then I said, "Okay, let me go through it first."
Yeah.
Then when it met my first criteria of being a fully funded scholarship, I told him I'll go deeper. So when I went deep, I looked at the courses because this scholarship has particular programs. It's not all programs at the University of Malta that is being offered under scholarship. So I went through it. Then I saw the MSc in Sustainable Development. Then I saw MSc in Energy, among other programs. So I'm in the sustainable development field from beginning. So energy, sustainable development were areas of interest to me and were very much aligned with my research area too as well. So I went through the other requirements that was stated in the scholarship. I looked at them, then I realized, okay, it's something I could handle, I could manage. I didn't need to do a lot of work or needed extra activities to do in terms of English proficiency, in terms of bachelor degree, although they didn't state whether you needed an upper class or something like that, but we all know those things count to as well. Then I realized I met the university's own criteria for being a graduate student. Then, when all this was checked on my list, then I put in my application for the program. So I just started with a friend introducing me to it. Then I took advantage of it.
So it means that connections really matters. It really matters networking. Like as you are going about your daily work, you have to network with key people or you have to be strategic with your network
Yes,
because
yes,
you might
yes.
never know where your next scholarship will be coming from or your next
Eh,
opportunity will be coming from. Yeah.
true, true.
So when we talk about the Commonwealth and Valletta Action Plan scholarship, it's a huge name. What does the scholarship entail? Like, what is this scholarship? Was is it
Very
like
well.
a combination of maybe Commonwealth, like the Commonwealth scholarship and maybe Valletta, or like what does the scholarship entail? What's the
Okay.
scholarship?
So I think basically, like in brief of it, we know the Commonwealth as it is, and Malta as a country is a signatory to the Commonwealth. The agenda here is to promote many activities within the Commonwealth nations. But when we're considering this scholarship, the focus here is to promote educational activities among other Commonwealth countries. So the Valletta Action Plan was kind of a deal that was signed or a proposal that was brought up around the 90s by the Maltese government to carry out this initiative of supporting other Commonwealth countries to be enable them exhibit the country's educational proficiency as well as also promote SDGs, that is SDG 4 in terms of education. So I think that is just a bit of what the scholarship is. Not really aligned with the Commonwealth that we know, the Commonwealth scholarship that we know, but it is based on the concept, the Commonwealth concept, that the scholarship is being run.
Oh, so from what you're saying, it means that it's a Maltese government scholarship, not let's say a UK government scholarship.
Yes, yes, it's a Maltese government scholarship.
Okay,
Yes.
that's understandable. Okay. And what are some of the key eligibility criteria? Because you mentioned that when you were going through like the criteria, you realized that, oh, you qualify. So what were the key criterias that they put out for applicants for the
Okay.
scholarship?
I think the basic one is when you look at it, meeting the school eligibility criteria requires you to have a good English proficiency. So for some of us that comes from West Africa who write or study in English, We have, I think the grade is around B,
Yeah.
no, C,
The-
the C4, something thereabout in our
mm,
distance. Good. But you need to have that or more to show a better standard of yourself. So English proficiency is one. If you're not from West Africa, that you've gone through WSC or the work system, it means you have to probably be writing your TOEFL and all those other English tests to prove your ability in the English language. So that was one major aspect of it. The other aspect again that aligns with is because the scholarship was meant for people in Ghana, they required that you stayed in Ghana when you were applying. You work in whether a private or public sector within Ghana, and probably you show abilities that you cannot be able to access this kind of education or a foreign education on your own. But those, I think, extend towards when they are selecting candidates. But in terms of application itself, the focus here will just be on your grade, your CV that you're going to, what it entails because of your experience per se. Depending on what you are doing, your research that you'll be proposing. If you're not going on research to, then that is fine because those are some of the things you'll be asked to submit. Then you will need what again? Um, yes, your degree also counts. That relates to the program that you are trying to apply. So I think these are the basic issues. If I may put it, they weren't so much cumbersome, as long as I think the most complicated one was just the English proficiency. Having that, when you meet that criteria, I think the rest is something that goes easily for you.
Mentioned also that you needed to be a resident of Ghana at the time of application, right?
Application, yes, you need
So
to reside in Ghana.
you need to reside in Ghana. How do I prove that at the time of my application, I was a resident of Ghana or I
Yeah,
was
well,
residing in Ghana?
yeah. So this, I'm sure. Okay, for my, I wasn't asked if I was like in an interview or something to ask you that kind of a question, but I think per what you put across there tries to verify some of these things. So let's say, for example, I go through your CV and probably your last workplace where you're working and all those kind of things. Most of us are able, you kind of put the country where your job is located and all those kind of things. It could kindly probably raise a flag to one or two things that you're doing. Although I'm sure, I think in the application process, there's those places where you could tick your residence and all those kind of things, if I remember appropriately. But as I was saying, these are more questions they use to verify or your eligibility in terms of the selection aspect. But during the course application itself, it really doesn't trigger a bell when you are applying for the course itself. But when they are selecting you, that is one area they consider for you to be eligible for the scholarship itself. So I think those are the two differences.
Question that's like, I think from what you were saying is that you have to apply for the university separately from the scholarship, right?
Yes, yes, yes. If
So
I
So if you are applying to the university, what are the documents that someone has to submit or I have to submit if I'm applying to the university? And what are the documents that I have to submit if I'm applying to the scholarship? And are they like different timelines between the application or you have to apply them simultaneously?
Okay, so what happens here is per what I went through. Um, with the university, the major application documents would be your letter of motivation, for which sometimes they call with other places personal statement and all that. Your letter of motivation is one. Your CV is two. Um, if you are a research student, then you have to put up your synopsis or your research proposal. Your passport, your ID, that is also another document that is being required. So these are more or less like the four main documents. CV, proposal, passport, letter of motivation, then your transcripts too, your academic transcripts, both the transcript and the certificates that come along with them will be documents you require to upload. You upload them through the system. So what happens is first you apply to the school. When you are done applying to the school, then you pack all these documents again, then send it to the scholarship, or is it the international office? Then you categorically state to them that you are applying for this scholarship, of which you've submitted your documents, your application. Towards this particular program. By then, you would have been given a reference number because you've submitted your application already. So you can attach all that as evidence that you've already completed your regular application to the school. And now you are submitting these particular documents for the scholarship. So they are basically not so much different. When you're submitting to the scholarship, you don't add, I think you don't add this transcript because that is already with the school. But you only have to add the motivation letter, the CV, motivation letter, CV, then your passport, and then the proposal as well. If you're a research student, these are the few things you have to put up with the scholarship. They happen kind of simultaneously. You don't have to wait for a particular period and all that. The moment you are done with the regular application, you just submit for the scholarship to again, because it's between the same timeline. For we needed to have finished by 2nd July. No, June rather. By 6th of June, we should have been done with everything, because June, July was the remaining for interview, selection, and the rest that took place.
So I think among the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 documents, is reference letters also
yes, that just came to mind. Reference letter. You need 3 of them.
3.
In our situation, we had 3 of them. Yes.
So with the 3, let's say I completed my bachelor's and I did what's it called? Let me even put it this way. Is it only academic reference letter, or you can get reference letters? You can take reference letters from, let's say, where you worked at, maybe national service or just academic. And how are they, if it's a combination of both, how is it how do I put it, distributed? Do I take 2 from here, 1 from here, or anyhow? Okay.
Yes. So basically 2 from the academic side, then 1 from what should I call it, professional level. If they are all academic too, I think it works. But 2 from the academic side, then 1 from the professional side. So those are the 3. It depends on, but with my experience too, per what I went through, I had to make sure the 3rd one was coming from that person who I was working with, who was from Malta. Okay. Yes, I think that was just yes, kind of a strategic something for me, just to be like, okay, I know the terrain within the Maltese situation. I'm more exposed to other international activity as well. Then the rest were focused on the area itself. Those people that wrote were people that could speak to my area. There are people that could speak to sustainable development, so that it's kind of shows some kind of backing to their knowledge and can best tell who I am in that space, because I've either studied under them or worked with them as well too, as professors and all that.
So I think we are done with the eligibility or the documents that you have to submit. Letter of motivation, the CV. Yeah, I have one question with the CV. Is there any format that you can use? Like, is there a specific format? Because I know that when you're applying to, let's say, Erasmus Mundus, they have Europass formats that you have to use. With this CV, do they give you like a specific format to use, or you can use any formats that you want?
Well, we didn't use the Europass CV. We just used the regular CV, or I just used the regular CV, but it was different from a career search CV, depending on how you write it. a career search CV is actually different from an academic CV for academic works. So I think it's important we understand the distinction between the
Yeah,
two when we are putting up careers. We'll just be looking at your career. Academic ones talk more of your academic
that makes
research
sense.
and all those kind of things.
Okay. So yeah, with the CV, research proposal, passports, academic transcripts, and reference letters. And you mentioned that you have to first apply, although it happens simultaneously, but you have to first apply to the university. Then
University.
you go to the international office. Then you send the document and tell them that you've applied to the university. The
Mhm.
So you want to apply to this particular scholarship.
Scholarship. Yes.
Is it only one university? Because from your profile, you are attending University of Malta. Can you apply to other universities, or is just one university, University of Malta?
It's University of Malta. So the
Yes.
arrangement is between the government of Malta, that's the
Mm-hmm.
Ministry of Education, and the sports, and it's a long name. Pardon me if I can mention all of it, but the government of Malta as a whole and the University of Malta. So it's between these two. So some of the funding comes from the University of Malta, some of the funding comes from the government of Malta.
Okay, okay, get it now. And when it comes to the courses, I know you do only, let's say, sustainable developments, right? Are there
Mhm.
like courses, different courses that like maybe someone who is doing, let's say, biochemistry can apply to? Or
Mhm.
is it limited to a specific field, or it's open field?
It's quite open.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's good. I just had this open here. So you have MSc in telecom engineering. You have MSc in
Let me
strategic.
allow you to share your screen then.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes, please. We
Okay.
can.
So if you look at what happens here, area of study and research covered by the scholarship. So you can have taught programs that's more or less like coursework. If you're not interested in research, then you have research. So you'll be surprised to see something like artificial intelligence. You see telecom engineering. For those who are with engineering, you have digital marketing and management. You have sustainable energy. You have sustainable development. You have MSc in engineering, geoscience. You have rural and environmental science. Those with the ocean, maritime archaeology. These are all programs. Then you can find as an MA program as human action. That's those who want to deal with humanitarian activities and all that. There's also room for you. Those who are into science and engineering too, there's a bit room for you too. So it's not just about sustainable development, but there are more areas that one could consider.
Interesting. Wow. Wow. Okay.
So some of them are thought, some of them are research.
Research.
You just have to choose your poison and work with that.
And how many years for the MSc?
Well, mine is 1 year with the probability of being extended to additional 4 months, so 16 months. When you go to the application portal, it's going to be 16 or the 18 months indicated. But when you get the admission and you come down here, you'll be shown the difference. They extend it to 16 if you're not able to complete your research. Because if you are
Gotcha.
doing research, it's a full research activity. If you are doing thoughts, then that's also different. The thought programs are up to 18 months, I think. Yes, they're up to 18 months, so almost a year and a half as compared to the research program.
Interesting. Oh, this is like, I mean, seriously, it's a the information is so helpful because there are lots of people that are looking for like scholarships and they don't know this information. Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
very helpful. Thank you so much for being here. So, when you were applying, did you have any challenges that you faced? What were they, and how were you able to? Um,
Yeah. Okay, well, I think when I was applying, To be frank, what prepared me was understanding the whole scholarship process first in terms of documentations, what I needed to present, who I needed to contact. If you're looking for a research, if you're going for research, you need to find a supervisor first before you even think of starting your application. Contact your supervisor, present your proposal. The supervisor, if he accepts, he goes through an interview with you. For me, I think the problem here was searching for the supervisor. Because what happened here is my research was on circular economy, or is on circular economy. When I went through the profiles of the supervisors, there wasn't anybody showing I have an interest in circular economy. Although they were in the space of sustainable development and other things, but nobody was talking about circular economy. So I was like, this is not a problem. How do I deal with this? So I had to go deep into each professor in my institute, the Institute of Climate Change and Sustainable Development, to see what research documents they are looking into, what their research is all about specifically. So then I found one who dealt with waste management. Then in my mind, I'm like, well, if you're talking about waste management and per some of the things she's talking about, then I can align it with circularity because it's a whole cycle that goes. So with that, I was able to overcome. If probably I didn't see circular economy and I relaxed, then probably I wouldn't be here in the first place. So considering what they did and going deeper into your professors, the documents they print out, the reports they write, it gives you a fair idea more than what they put up on their websites. And with this, I was able to contact one of the supervisor, and immediately she responded. That was the interesting part of it. She responded. She said she liked it, and she interviewed me actually before. She interviewed me to know what if I'm prepared for it and all that. So then after that, she gave me the go ahead to use her name in my application, and it went on. So I think my major challenge was getting the supervisor. The rest went on very well. The other one was when they said I didn't meet my English proficiency standard, and I was like, oh no, that's not possible. I submitted the documents, and it became to and fro. We're having this little documentation issue, but got sorted out later.
Yeah, Mordecai, please, we would take in questions after the conversations. Okay, thank you. So you said supervisors, I know that when it comes to like the research, you need a supervisor, right? But what about the taught ones, like the taught only courses? Do I still need a supervisor?
Yeah, not to say much, no. You don't need a supervisor for a taught program.
Yeah, okay. Okay, sure. Okay, so you said searching for supervisors was very difficult, but you researched it. Research is really very important because if you don't research and you look on the portal, on the website, and you don't see like any professor who is not really doing your field, like really into your field, you might be discouraged and stop. So it's very important that you dig deeper and find your answers to the questions that you are looking for. Okay, my next question, I think that is self-answered because I was about to ask if you went through any interview stages, but from what you were saying, you've gone through a lot of interview stages.
Yeah, in a way, let me see. I went through 2 interviews, one with my supervisor, then the other was after I got admitted. So your admission comes before the scholarship, blah, blah, that takes place. So after I got my admission, then the scholarship body too. By then they would have reviewed, probably I may say reviewed your profile, you've gotten the admission. But getting an admission is key to continuing the process for the scholarship. So after that, I was given an invitation to get to the embassy. That was Malta's embassy in Ghana. Then there's where you go and meet your firing squad. Yes, because it wasn't quite easy, considering you have somebody from the ministry representing the government, you have somebody a set of people from the university itself, like a team. Then you have the director, the assistant commissioner, then some other few people seated in one room. The rest were online, and you still have to. At least I'm sure I answered up to 10 questions before I left that place.
Yeah, so during the interview session, the interviews are many, don't scare us. But like, can you take us through, especially with the university interview, the school interview?
Mhm.
How was it like? What were some of the questions they asked? Like just off your head, like what were the
Okay.
questions that
Yeah,
you think?
I think the first one major one was, oh, you have a master's degree. Why another master's degree? That question was asked, and another question was, since I'm going for research, what relevance is it going to play? How do I see myself within the research space, and how am I going to use these skills to improve academic activities in Ghana? That was one question. Here you see yourself as if, okay, this is not a PhD program. How am I doing this research activity and helping other research activities in Ghana? But I was able to find my way out by letting them know I'm going to associate myself with other research organizations or professors in my field to help them carry out their various research activities that align with what I'm doing. Something more, but basically around that. Another question was based on my previous master's program that I had in India. They asked me how it was and what makes that different from studying here, how my previous program aligns with this program. Another question was within the job area, how does my job, the work I was doing at that particular time aligns with what I'm trying to do currently. Um, Maybe, see, I'm just jumping from one ship to another, or there's something that gives meaning to all that. So I think these are some of the basic, I wouldn't say basic. At that very moment, I wouldn't see them as basic though, because I was boiling up, but for now, I'll call them basic.
You
Yes,
you
this,
of the firing squad, so it's
yes.
basic now. It's like child's play
Mhm.
for you now.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so these were some of the questions that were asked. I think basically they just wanted to know more about my intentions, what I'm going to make use of this, and how I'm going to use this to help Mother Ghana. Because one important thing is you need to show clear interest of returning back to your country. So whatever you say, they should be able to reflect that you are trying to gain this knowledge to help Mother Ghana or wherever it is you are coming from, and you are applying for the scholarship.
Can you trim me? Maybe so trim. Ubeba Ghana.
Remember,
We are
Papa.
outside, so I'll say it in tree. I'm outside.
You are wanting here.
Yeah, I won't
Okay.
say.
Oh, we never know, so let's see. Mhm.
So I hope we are taking notes, especially with the interview questions, because where they are poor, premium are poor. Please take notes. Take very good notes too. Okay, so with the what's it called? The embassy questions, like just one or two. Can you give us like just one or two
Yeah.
questions that they ask?
Well,
Or
this
the
was done
main.
together. So it was
Mhm.
just the same. There's university members were there and the embassy people were there. So it wasn't two separate ones. The university and the embassy had the interview. It was just one go into questions. So, some of them were coming from the school, some were coming from the embassy, some was coming from the ministry too as well.
Were they really like with the ministry for you said the ministry was like the Ghana ministry, right?
No, so
More
basically,
mhm,
yes, as I normally say, one glad
Maltese.
tidings to this thing is that the Ghanaian institutions or authorities are not even part of this whole thing. So it's just you and the Embassy of Malta and the
Malta.
university. Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I was about to ask if the Ghana institutions were part, like, were the questions really, how do I put it? I know it was difficult, but did you get a situation where, like, that question, you were like, this one, day I'm not coming out of it, or you were like at a tight corner that you're like, this one, dear, I'm not coming out?
Yes, I think that can be my last question.
Mhm.
Excuse me. That was something they were asking about knowledge impact and knowledge sharing from here after this program and back home, and how I'm going to share knowledge, impact knowledge, and all that. Because I try to streamline my response. My first response, it may not be the same all over, but I try to streamline them towards a particular angle to give me the strength that I possess in responding to each question that follow up. And so I talk about development. I talk about my local community, developing it, what I'm doing now, and how this program is going to develop it, push further. And the last question was how I'm going to share knowledge, how I'm going to increase knowledge, because I'm doing circular economy research. So how does this really, how transferable is this, and all those kind of things. So I had to not conjure, though sometimes it's nice when you are already into something and you're using it to respond to your answer. It makes the flow much easier for you, and you're able to give something concrete rather than just conjuring things just to make somebody happy. So in my case, we're working on a project that we are training teachers in climate science and sustainable development. So I just had to use that as a starting point, that we are already doing something like that. And this will come in easy. When I finish and I get my knowledge here, I can just integrate it into some of those systems that we are having.
Thank you. So, basically, the interview questions were more of your research work, your background, your educational background,
Yes,
how
yes, yes.
your yeah, how your research work would, how would you transition from, let's say, what's it called? Your research work to impacting the society, and
Society.
whether you come back, okay, you go back to
Mm.
Ghana, which
Yeah,
is
something
questions
like
for the
that.
gods. Okay,
Okay.
my next question. When you were drafting your application, what are some of, you
Mhm.
mentioned that you did statement of purpose or personal statement,
Mm.
letter of motivation, sorry, you crafted your CV and also your reference letter, etc. What are the strategies when it comes to your personal statement that you applied to it? Like from the time you started, you preconceived writing it till the time you finished the personal statement. What were some of the strategies that you took that helped your personal statement to stand out?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing of all is alignment and flow. But it started with trying to understand the scholarship itself, understand the university itself, and understand Malta's position in terms of what they are trying to do with the Commonwealth Valletta Action Scholarship. So these three things, understanding the scholarship, understanding the university, and if you want to go down with the university, understanding the faculty that you are going to study in. For me as a research person, understanding the research areas of the faculty, what they've achieved, what they are seeking to do, then understanding Malta in general, like that, those were my strategy. Because at the end of it, you might want to speak about the Malta as a country and what they are doing. You may want to speak about the university. It's not even you may want to. It's going to be, I may want to say it's important you speak about it. It's not about me. So for me, in my essay, I started looking into what I am doing right now in terms of my professional life. How does that link to the course and the research area I'm focusing on? And how does that solve a particular problem in all? Then now I looked at with all this now, how does the University of Malta and the Maltese ecosystem itself help me in achieving this, so that in each of it, I'm able to link from one part to another to be able to develop my essay, my essay. So the first, I think I had like 6 to 7 paragraphs. The first one talked about me and not so much about me, just basically my name, what my previous backgrounds, and the scholarship I'm applying for. Then the second one hits straight forward to my current activity as a research person for a youth organization trying to promote sustainable development, blah, 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 blah. Excuse the blah, blah. Then from there, I linked that because each ending of my essay links to the next 10. I don't jump ship. I try to make sure each ending links to the next thing I'm trying to narrate. So after speaking about what I do and how I think there's a gap, there's a problem here. And as youth, this is what we are trying to do. This is the issue in Ghana, and we are thinking about it. And now the next starts to talk about how this program aligns with that agenda in all, and how finishing this program, getting the knowledge that I seek, and especially with the research aspect, because I'm focused on research. So there was a lot I was focusing with my research, is going to help solve those problems. Then again, after that, I discussed how Malta is performing in terms of the area that I'm looking into, because it's more or less like now I'm coming to learn from Malta. I'm coming to learn from the university and apply those knowledge into my own community to deal with the issues that we are facing there. So as I said, everything links up together. And it was very important that when you are doing this linkage, especially when it comes to talking about the university, you look at the university's strength in terms of your area, the place you are, what you are going to learn, what they are doing, what research even are they doing in those areas. And you state them. The funny thing is that when you are stating them, it may just be like you're writing something haphazardly, but I'm sure when they read it, they'll know that, oh, you are describing University of Malta, or you are describing the Institute of Climate Change and all that. So these, I think, were my strategies, ensuring that I did a very good due diligence to understand everything, see how best I could link each of them together to give me the statement that I needed. And by then, too, I'd already engaged my supervisor and all that. I had to bring them into my letter, talk about their work, how their work aligns with what I'm seeking to do, and how they'll be the best people to help me with achieve my goal and all that. I tried not to speak so much about I want to finish and go and do a PhD and all those kind of these things. I think people are aware of all those things and they are there so much. So it's about your end goal, which shouldn't just be about the PhD, but the solutions or the problems you're trying to solve or that you found and all that.
So, from what you're saying, what I picked up, as you said, is alignment and flow. There should be coherency in whatever you write from paragraph to paragraph. And also you said that you should understand the ecosystem of the university and also Malta, and also talk a little bit about yourself, because they don't know you. You have to at least introduce yourself and let them know what who you are and what you're doing. And yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope I didn't miss any of the points, because yeah.
Yeah, I think you got that precisely.
Alignment and flow. Okay. Understand the scholarship, understand the university, understand the faculty, and also understand Malta. So you have to research, understand what you're going to do, and write about it, and also present a problem and also the solution to the problem. So it's more of a solution. In fact, most of the statements of purpose and personal statements are more solution oriented. So you present the problem and you tell them that, hey, this is the problem, this is what I want to do to remedy the problem or to solve the problem.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So My next question. Um, how did you align your study or research proposal with the Commonwealth and Valletta action plans priorities?
Yeah, well, the good thing is here is that the action plan really didn't give so much about their priority. I think the priority here is to extend their helping hand to other Commonwealth countries and showcase Malta
Mhm.
in that regard in terms of their potential when it comes to academic. And that is why I said understanding Malta was important because I had to talk about Malta. I had to talk about Malta's educational stand when we talk about the SDG ranking in terms of solving educational issues. Where do they stand? Are they doing well? Or all those kind of things. Just to tell them that I understand that, yes, what they are trying to do, they are capable of doing it. And that is why I'm choosing them. So it wasn't so much in terms of priority, but again, too, one major issue was just we were talking about solution based, solving a problem, showing that you are learning to go to solve something, or you have a problem you think you want to look into, and all that. And with my research, with the research area too, is just around all that because that's the genesis of my application to as well, and presenting that to them, I think made a lot of sense to them.
So it's more of the solution. Yeah. Okay, so when you were applying, do you think that there were any specific skills that made you stand out in your application or that
Yeah, well,
strengthened your application?
yeah, for me, I think one could be the fact that I already had an MBA in corporate sustainability, sustainable development and management, because I had to write about some of the skills I have in that area that could help me succeed in this particular course. And again, too, since I'm talking about research, I have to talk about my research abilities. I have to show my research abilities. And with that part, you realize that when you go for the interview, maybe with your supervisor or your potential supervisor, they do the evaluation in terms of your skills and your ability to sit, because at the end of it, they'll have to report to the university. So you have to show to that. So in my case, I had this research work I did with a professor from Harvard University. So you could imagine when I told her we'll be publishing a paper with a professor, she was like, "Oh, really? Then that's good. You're prepared for this." So we may not all have the opportunity with Harvard, but you should be able to present something that shows that makes you count in such a way, or how should I even put it, shows your abilities in a way. So mine was basically my previous skills I had in the area, some of the research I have done, those have engaged with in various research activities. I think these are the two major things or areas.
Say, I'm done with my bachelor's and the only thing I can show is my bachelor's thesis. Do I also can I show it that, hey, I've done my bachelor's thesis on this, that, or I have to show maybe a research paper that I published, or what if I've not even published any research paper?
Yeah, well, so the good news is when I was applying, we hadn't even published that paper yet. But again, too, as we were saying, if I talked about my bachelor's research too as well with my supervisor, and that's, I'm sure that is even further with plagiarism, but it's the impact that counts, what the intention that count at that very moment, because we're still learning. But even if you are done with your bachelor, if you've done thesis within your bachelor, you should be able to show it when you are discussing. You see, when you are talking to them in those times, you need to be able to come up with the terminologies that are being used in those areas. Okay. Oh, yes, I did this in my methodology. Instead of just using methodology and make the whole thing look so round up like that, you could rather further break it down. I used quantitative method and we did this. I used this, or we engaged people in this way and those kind of things. Even at the interview, just to jump back, I can remember the should I say the deputy chief? She was like, "Yes, we would like to hear all the terminologies you have." And I was like, "Really? Then this is going to be interesting because it's maybe you've chewed it, but again, to remember, probably somebody seated there who might know as much as you think you know.
Mhm.
So you bring them out, but you be mindful of what you are saying, not to think you're confusing people. So you just have to show. You don't have to publish in this scholarship. You don't have to publish before, but you just have to show that you have the ability. You need to show the interest very well, and I think you'll be good.
For me, one of my strategies or my mindset that I go in when I'm applying for something is that I always have to put my best foot forward because I don't know the other people that are applying. They might be as equally as good as me. So I have to
Exactly,
put my
exactly,
best foot forward. All my
exactly.
arsenals, I just put it there and apply. And when you call me for the interview, I show
Yeah.
up and show out confidently. So that's, I think, one thing that we all have to take home, that we should put our best foot forward, especially in the scholarships, because a lot of people around the world are applying, a lot of Commonwealth countries are applying. So if you just apply anyhow, they might not pick you. They will do you anyhow too. So put your best foot forward.
Sure, sure, sure.
So let's go to the last but one segment, which is, please, if you have any questions, don't forget to put it in the comment section. After our conversation, we will definitely answer all your questions. So the selection and notification period. What
Mhm.
was the waiting period like after submitting your application? How was the feeling like?
Uh, After after submitted the application, I think, well, like any other person, you keep thinking of what will be the
What
outcome,
would
what
be,
will be the
yeah.
outcome. Yes. So I think we started in
Mm-hmm.
May to June. By June 6th, we were done. So just basically 1 month to prepare yourself and submit the application. After that, in July, July, yes, July. I had my letter of admission that I got the admission. So now I have to wait for the scholarship aspect of it. So during this period, after the admission letter, I shared the letter to the scholarship body that I've gotten an admission because they said I should pay a deposit. So I had to share it with them to tell them that I've applied for a scholarship. So do I need to still pay the deposit or I'm going to get disqualified and all that? But during the period of wait, it was a bit tense because I was told I'll be attending an interview. That was still in July. So I had to prepare myself for the interview too as well. And that meant constant non-sleep because I had to read and read. You never know where the question is coming from.
Yeah.
So I was tensed. But the funny thing was, I think after the interview in 2 days, the feedback was out. Like, and I was seated in my corner one morning. I was preparing to start my work. Then I just like saw an email. I opened it. Then I saw Commonwealth Valletta Action Plan. And I'm like, let me open and see what is inside, you know. So when I opened, and you know,
Congratulations.
yes, you always just want to see that word. When I saw that word, I screamed. My kid brother woke up from bed by force, like, I didn't even work again the whole day. I just dropped all my work and everything. I wrote in sick by force just to jubilate and celebrate and all those kind of distance. So it was tense, but after hearing the good news, I think everything I was settled. The
So
next thing was just to prepare myself and all that. Yes.
thing about the scholarship application or even applying for something is it's very tense, like it's very intensive. You have to put a lot of energy and everything. But when you
Yeah.
get it, you even forget that you went for
Oh,
interviews. So
it doesn't count again.
it doesn't count again. So yes, it doesn't count at all. So when you are applying, you just have to put the end in mind that after this, you will even forget about it and you will enjoy the fruits of your labor and
Sure,
everything. So
sure, sure, sure.
I advise
Mm.
that for those of us who want to apply for this scholarship, we should go ahead and apply and just put your best foot forward. I My next question is, Did you? Okay, so how long did you wait? I think was it
Give or
one
take
month or?
1 month, me between June
Mhm.
and July ending. By July ending, the feedback were out. So I think let's just say 1 month, 2 months per se, 2 months.
Questions. Then we are done. We are done with the interview. So,
Okay.
based on your
Yeah.
future, your experiences, what advice
Mhm.
would you give to someone applying for this scholarship? What are some of the strategies I should use if I want to apply for this scholarship? And what are the advice you give to me if I want to apply?
I think it's not anything we haven't spoke of already, but in short, I'll just say understand the scholarship itself. In this scholarship, I may say, there's not so much for you to understand, but you need to understand it in such a way that you can link it to whatever you are trying to write in terms of the advantages you are getting and in terms of how you are going to is going to impact you at the end of it. In all due diligence, you need to read, and read. Take your time. Don't submit documents immediately. I can tell you, I even canceled my application one time and started all over again because I was like, no, I wasn't submitting these things the way I wanted to submit it. So I stopped, went back again. By then, I've already uploaded some few documents. I had to clear everything again. And it was even difficult to log in and all those kind of things. I had to contact the school. They said, oh, they helped me remove that application out because it turns out I cannot delete an old application. The school has to do it for me. They helped out, cleared that out. Then I started all over again. And this time I was just moving like a Bugatti or whatever it is, no turning back.
Returning
So
back at you.
I'll just say people should just understand what you want to do and the impact you are trying to generate. Um, Ensure that you're able to link everything you are talking about, especially with the documentation aspects, your letter of motivation. There should be consistency. There should be linkage to everything, and establish rapport. If you're a research student, I will encourage you to establish rapport with whoever falls under you as a supervisor or whoever you fall under as a supervisor. Before I finished application, I was so friendly with my supervisor. I could reach out to her at any time, even when I was writing. After she even saw my proposal, I got to her again. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to change this and that. What do you think? Just to get her attention, her mindset, and all those kind of things. Some of them are always ready to help you, even if you've not submitted the application. So uh, just don't see them as supervisors until you come to campus before you can talk to the person and all those kind of things. During that period of your application, you could always reach out to the potential supervisor that's agreed to work, ask their advice if possible. And some might just help respond and help you out with something that's confusing you and all that. So for me, these are some of the things that worked for me. Building that relationship with my supervisor, reading widely in relation to what I want to do in the program, and taking my time. I had that whole 1 month to submit the application because I think the application doesn't come out for long. It's short. So if you want it, you start preparing right now. You could go through the programs that are there, which one that fits you. Maybe they may change, maybe they may add. Then go through them. If any fits your background or interest, start preparing towards it and all that. Yes. And I think for me, one thing was most of the people that I met there were more of, I'm not saying don't go for coursework, but I think those with research work to have this thing because a lot of the people, when I met at the interview, were coursework people. Everybody wanted to do coursework. So who knows? Maybe you may meet people who want to do coursework and your research might just be your go-key for you to. But in all, just put your effort. It doesn't matter whether coursework or research. Yeah. One of the other person I knew she's doing coursework in humanitarian action and she's one of the best and all that. And build a profile. I think the last thing I'll say is build a profile for yourself in terms of what you are doing currently. build a profile for yourself. Don't end up jumping from one ship to another. I know people try to do that, but build a profile and go with your profile as it is so that it represents your professionality in that area that you are trying to study or work in.
Times when I have speakers, I ask something that I forgot to ask you. I've written it here, money. Money. How much is the scholarship? Like what's
Mhm.
how much money are you like for like your monthly stipends, and does
Mm.
the scholarship pays for your school fees and health insurance, and like
Yeah.
what's the funding? How is it
Okay.
distributed?
Yeah, well, so here the issue here is you get a little bit of a headache because you pre-finance yourself. Trust me, I had to run up and down. Like, hey, where am I getting all this money from? I had to run up and down. But the good thing is that I think they are just trying to know whether you really want to come and they don't spend money on you, just and you come and waste time or something. But yes, the package is 1,200 stipend per month, euros. If you get to know, euro is more than dollar. 1,200 euros per month. The health insurance is kept at 1,000 euros. But when you come in, you may get a health insurance that is lesser than that. But whatever, you can spend more than 1,000 per health insurance. I think that covers the whole academic year one, year two issue. You are reimbursed your visa, which is kept at 250 euros. So you might run into costs a little bit, but it's for the greater good. That's depending on the charges in your own country and all that. Um, yes, so I thought health insurance is covered. Um, Visa is covered. Plane ticket, good. Plane ticket too is covered, but you have to pay for the plane ticket. Come here, then you sign because you're not given the agreement to sign immediately. You need to get to Malta before you sign the agreement. So when you finally sign your agreement in Malta, then they reimburse you all the monies you've spent. Even if it's taxi you entered and you have a receipt, you can present it. It will still go under the transportation aspect of the reimbursement.
So your school fees is paid
Yeah, yeah.
1,200 euros,
Mm.
and health insurance,
Mhm.
plane ticket reimbursement, visa reimbursement. Hey,
Investment.
umpe wena upede, please.
Yeah, well.
This is a very juicy scholarship. And I think
Mm.
that not a lot of people know about it. So if you have the like luxury to connect and get to know about it, I think that it's very important that we try and apply. And who knows, you might be the next scholar that I or Lois will be interviewing in the coming years. Who knows? So, last thing, is there anything you wish you had known before applying?
Mm. I don't even think of anything. Well, I think it's based on what troubled me a little bit. So probably understand the post-application system in terms of the country itself, the rules and regulations in terms of visa applications, what goes into that and all that kind of distance. Yeah, I think when I was going through India, it was quite easy and simple. And I was thinking, oh, this is going to be the same thing. So I did really focused on that. And that really raised some few bumpers here and there, although at least the university was always available to help you with some of those things. So I think that's just the other part of it. If not, the rest was
I think
okay.
that when you're applying for visas, visa issues, like visas has their own
The whole
issue
problem
altogether.
altogether. Yeah.
Is the Maltese embassy in Ghana? Did you go to another country or it was already in Ghana?
Yeah, the embassy is in Ghana,
Ah,
but they
okay.
don't receive the application. You use VFS.
Yeah,
VFS
VFS Global.
manages, they manage visa applications for the Maltese government. So
Okay.
you rather book with them, go for your interview with VFS and submit. But for we students, we didn't go through any interview. Just go and submit your documents and make sure that everything is submitted accordingly. And that's about it.
If we have any questions, we've come to like not the end, but we are done. We've exhausted our questions, the interview session. Now it's the interactive session. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, you can raise your hand or put it in the comment section or the chat box. I think, is Mordecai still here? Not really. Okay, so if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. We are also live on Facebook. So for those of us on Facebook, you've not been forgotten. I'm here, and if you have any questions, please let's write it in the comment section. And yeah, I would answer it for you.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm still here.
Mordecai, please go ahead.
Yes, so I wanted to know about the research work. So is it that before you apply, you need to have like a research proposal like presented
Yes.
before like you
So,
apply?
okay. Um, yes. In my case, I was already preparing for that research in particular, so I had it written down a little bit. But if you are applying for the scholarship, if you're going to do research, then it means you need to develop a synopsis or your research proposal to be presented because you submit it to the school and you have to submit that to the moment you're contacting your supervisor, that is the major document that needs to follow your CV so that they go through the CV, go through the research proposal, then the person will show interest in whether I can supervise you or I cannot supervise you or something like that. So you need to have your proposal when you are applying. But that means
Okay.
you should have gone through the program to see which course you want to do and which proposal you may submit. You may have a proposal, but it may not relate to a particular course there. You can just jump ship like that.
Okay, that's fine. But then also there are instances where maybe the supervisor you contacted wants to do a proposal, a research for himself. Is there a way
Mhm.
maybe you could reach out and then maybe join forces and then work together, like on your
Yes,
supervisor's research? I mean,
okay. Those, I think, per what's my experience, I think those are also different in all. There are certain already project-based research with your supervisor at the university. So when you come in, you apply and you show your interest in working with your supervisor and that person on that particular research. So that is also a different thing altogether, which didn't apply in our situation here. In our situation here, you are coming in with your own proposal, not the proposals that are established by the university professors or the university itself.
okay. So I have another question. Um,
Mhm.
the English proficiency.
Okay.
Do you have to take the exam, or over here in Ghana, normally the school just give you a letter, the proficiency letter. Is that fine, or you
Mm,
have to like take the exam?
uh, the results is what matters. You giving the letter, yeah, in some places it matters, but lately I've seen a lot of we are not even going to accept your university sending a letter and all those kind of things. Here they wanted to see that I have my work results and I had a results that was better than the C4 category that they placed as the basic you should have. So that is it. You just have to show if you have a work results, which shows you did English, you wrote English language, you passed it, you just upload it and you are good to go. If you have an English proficiency letter from your school, that'll just be a backup to show that you did this and all that. So you add that. Yeah. So I added my basic examination, which showed I did English. I added my WOSI, which showed I did English. Then I added a letter from my university too. I know those ones wouldn't matter, but just to show the trend in my English studies and all that.
Okay, that's fine. And then my last question. What would you say the acceptance rate is like for the whole scholarship?
Ah, eh, this is something I didn't even calculate when I was trying. I think to answer your last question, this was something I would have looked out for. Um, well, I think so. The number of students that came from Ghana are not many, but there are other people that are on the Commonwealth Valletta Action Plan too. So I may just put them around 70, 80 thereabouts. So it depends on I think it depends on the quota they give per country and all those kind of things. Yes.
All right.
Mm,
Thank you so much. Thank you,
you're
Gabriel.
welcome.
You. Do we have any more questions? I'm still on Facebook. I'm checking Facebook, but yeah, I can't seem to find any questions.
Yeah, I guess they are saturated and they are okay.
Yeah,
So there's no
the
problem.
information is too much. Okay, so I have a final question.
Sure.
So you said that Malta,
Mm,
like the scholarship also want to show people about like places in Malta. Have you visited any places in Malta? And what are some of the vacation places that if let's say me, I like to travel and I want to maybe visit Malta, which place can I come or which place do you recommend for me as a traveler in
mm. I think
Europe?
I'm the bad person to respond to this question. I'm not the
Ah,
right
you've not been
person.
traveling.
I'm not able to do that. I don't know why. I keep putting the plans, but I don't. But
I think
yes,
it's a
Malta.
sign. This is a sign that you should.
Maybe I need a traveling buddy. So when you are coming and tell me, then I'll prepare myself.
Okay.
But Malta is a Mediterranean country.
Mhm.
So if you're coming to Malta, then maybe you should like swimming because there's a lot of beaches around. At least I
Mhm.
do that. I walk all around the beaches from
Mhm.
one beach to another, mostly every Friday in the evening. I just go to this beach, spend a lot. There are seats there you can sit, enjoy the breeze, watch people who like swimming, they swim. I'm bad at swimming, so I don't even put my leg in the water. I just sit and watch and hear the sounds that come from the beach and all that. So that is one. There are a lot of beaches for you to enjoy yourself. You can go, there's Malta on one side, and there's another place called Gozo, which is a place people like to visit. Then we have the capital like Valletta that people like to visit because of, I think, its old artistic nature in the way it is. Yes. So, but I think majority of the places are just beaches, sha. They're just filled up with water here and there, and some old, what should I call it? Colonialization or those kind of exhibits and things that you can find. But yes,
Mhm.
that is it. As I said,
Mhm.
I'm a bad person to answer this question. Maybe I'll go and do the research and come and give you.
Has it been like how is the atmosphere for foreign students in Malta? Like how is life there as a foreign student? Is the
Okay.
language very difficult to they speak English, right?
Good. So that's just the basic and good thing about the whole thing. They speak English. At least 90% of the conversation you can have here can be done in English. The Maltese language is there. If you want to learn that, that will be at your own time to integrate well, which is good. But they speak English. As a foreign student, with my experience, I think it's fine. There's no hurdle where you get embarrassed or pushed here and there and all those kind of things. The university is also there in case of any issue for you to come up or say whatever it is that is disturbing you. And there are diverse international students here, and you can have fun, enjoy yourself, study. You can go clubbing, join youth groups. I like to go for camps, youth groups, talk, discuss issues, learn more, listen to people's opinions, and you are welcomed. and all the kind of things. And for now, there's no big deal about that, if I should say. So, but I always believe you should just be ready when you're traveling. Just be ready for anything, and it shouldn't really be an issue unless it's killing you. If it's not killing you, you should be able to cope and manage and move on. You know why you're here.
That's one question. What are the opening and closing dates of the scholarship?
Okay, so I think anybody who wants to prepare, ours was May, June. So you should be targeting it between May and June. May, June, early June it closes, and
Okay.
by middle of beginning of let's say late April to May, then by early June it closes up. Who knows? Maybe it may change, but that's what I've seen so far.
Means that we have ample time to prepare and apply for the scholarship.
Sure.
Yeah. My last but one. What's the cost of living? The 1,200 when you are being paid 1,200 as a stipend, or like how is the cost of living like, and is it manageable? Like, can you be able to spend the 1,200 within a month, or you need more? Like, how is the cost of living like there?
Yeah, well, I think what kills the 1,200 that's inside my pocket every month is accommodation. So I think that's just the biggest one. If you're able to get an affordable place, or based on how you want to live, if you're able to manage that, you should be good to go. That is my personal take on it, because with, let's say, 1,200, worst case scenario, 150 euros statistically should be enough for your monthly food expenditure, or less, unless you want to be eating outside. If you are cooking, you can. There are shops that say, in quotes, you can buy cheap things. Vegetables are more expensive than other things that you can find. Yeah, so you should be able to manage that. If you're not eating so much outside, you should be able to manage that on grocery. Accommodation is the next thing. Good thing is that you register for a free card, so you don't have to be taking Bolt and all those things unless you are late. You can just go, wait for the bus, take your bus, and go. And since I had my card, I can't remember the last time I took Bolt again. I'm sure that will not happen. So that is it. So I think well, we want more money, but I think it's enough if you spend within your reach, or your limits, and find probably a more affordable accommodation per se. But the whole of Malta accommodation is a major business. So that one, you can have a room for 400 euros, 450 euros, 500, 350. And that's even a group, not a single room on your own. You have to pledge with maybe 2 people or 3 people at that. Yes, so you get that. Then the rest is meant for you. Utilities too, so far hasn't been so bad. That's, again, it depends on how you use them and all that. So you can enjoy the rest. Probably travel if you want.
Final words. That's the last question. I've kept you here for long. So your final words before we leave.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm just gonna say, just do you, and make sure you are prepared for the application. If you want to, be prepared for it. And as she said earlier on, put your best foot forward, give in your all, and seek guidance if you need it. It's not you against the world, if I should say. So seek guidance if you need it. Maybe this may be a place I'll say, okay, you can reach out to me if you need to do anything or something, because I also had guidance with some few people here, especially when it came to the relocation aspect and all that. I talked to some few people, but yes, so that is it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think he has said all, and also seek guidance, mentorship, put your best foot forward, pray. Yeah.